welcome to my YouTube channel. I created this channel to spread MS awareness. Note, I am not a doctor. I am just sharing my personal experience on how I got diagnosed with MS and how I can help you guys who are around the same age as me, maybe share a story here and there or try and help you in any way I can. Before going into my story, you can notice my dog is in the background. She'll probably be in a lot of my videos. She is, her name's Peaches. She is 8 pounds and she is a teacup poodle. Okay. The reason why I created this YouTube channel is because when I was diagnosed with MS, I was only 20 years old. I'm now 23. I was also in my sophomore year of college. Fun stuff, right? Anyways, when I was researching online, I know there are MS group chats that you can communicate through, and I know that some people might post their stories also on YouTube. So I did both of those. I joined an MS group and I looked on YouTube to see if I can find someone my age to relate to. As I noticed, a lot of the people I was speaking to were a lot older than I am, and their symptoms were a lot different than mine are. And that's one of the things with MS. MS affects people in so many different ways. Not one person has the same symptom or effect that someone else might have. My story. I was home for the weekend from being at school, and I woke up one day with a black spot on my eye. I wasn't really sure why I had it on my eye, so I went downstairs and I asked my mom, hey, have you ever had a black spot on your eye? And she said yeah, and not to worry about it, it'll go away. So that's exactly what I did. I didn't think anything of it. And then later on, as the day went on, I realized that the dark spot was getting bigger and that my vision was starting to disappear. So at that point, I was freaking out because if I needed to look at something, I had to really squint my eyes to be able to see it. I even went out to dinner with my boyfriend, and when we went out to dinner, I had to ask him what the menu said because I couldn't see it. I was this close to the menu looking at it and still not being able to see what it was. So the next day, we went to go see a ophthalmologist, which is an eye doctor, and he took me in and examined me. He did all the normal tests that you would do for a regular eye exam, and his first suggestion was to get an MRI. Now thankfully we did it in the same day because this situation was very serious. It wasn't very mild, it seemed to get stronger and stronger. I couldn't tell the difference or the colors or anything like that. So I went to get an MRI later that day, and the whole point was to figure out if there was a tumor or anything like that in my brain that may have been causing why I couldn't see out of my eye. So after having the MRI, I did get a call from my doctor later on, and he told me that I have optic neuritis. Now, optic neuritis is when your optic nerve is being aggravated by something and it becomes inflamed. So that way you can't actually see out of your eye, and that's why I was having that issue. Now, I didn't know at the time, but optic neuritis is a symptom of MS. But we didn't want to say it was MS because we wanted to see if there would be another flare-up at any point. So the treatment after that was to get a steroid infusion, which I got. It was about a 2-day treatment, and my eye did eventually get better, which was good. I will say the steroid infusion did knock me out a little bit because of how powerful it was, but I'm really thankful that I had gotten my eye back. Now after that, I moved on with my life. Everything seemed to be okay, and then I started to feel a little weird. I noticed that I was really tired, my body was very fatigued, and I was getting a lot of pain in my body, which I never normally get. So I went in to get another MRI, which was requested by the doctor, and this was around December before I went on winter break. The first day that we were on vacation, I happened to go to the beach by myself while the rest of my family stayed at the pool. While I was on the beach, I received a phone call, and this phone call was from my doctor. I found out at that point that I was diagnosed with MS, and they had found an active lesion on my brain, which is how they came to that diagnosis. Also, I want to apologize. I might be letting my dog in and out, so if you see her sometimes in the picture and sometimes not, it's because she keeps coming in and out. So I apologize for that. So after getting off the phone with my doctor, I didn't know how to react. I actually panicked, and I was also alone, which is probably the worst part of it all, that I found this out by myself rather than being around my family. After leaving the beach, I walked back over to where my family was, which was at the pool, and I told my mom the news. I immediately started crying because I've never had anything like this happen to me before, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I was going to get better. I didn't know if it was curable, and this is all new to me at that point. So the rest of the vacation was hard to enjoy because I found out about this MS, and I tried to stay as positive as I could because I didn't want to think anything of it at that time. Later I got back and I was seeing a doctor where I live, and he wasn't very familiar with MS. Like, he was the one who called me and told me that I had it, but he didn't specialize in it because he was just a neurologist. So he recommended to get a second opinion, and I did exactly that. I found somebody at NYU Langone who ended up being my new MS doctor. Thankfully, at this hospital, they have an MS center, so these people are specialized in knowing MS, which was really good for me. After I met my new doctor, we started to talk over all the things that I was feeling, how I'm adjusting, and at that time, I wasn't very happy. I was very upset, very depressed. I was confused. I was wondering why me, and we were going over treatment plans. I did find out that MS can't be cured and that you're going to live with it for the rest of your life, but they have medications to slow down the progression of the MS. Now, there are different types of MS that people get. I have one of the more common ones, which is remitting, relapsing MS. I just want to clarify that I'm not a doctor, and I'm just going off of what I was told as a patient. So if you want to check online to wonder what that is, you can. I'd rather you do it yourself than for me to tell you. So, after talking with my doctor and going over treatments, they recommended that I go on Tecfidera. Tecfidera was a pill that you take every single day and night, I believe, but I can't remember because I haven't been on it for a very long time. You start out with a smaller dose, and then you gradually get to a higher one. So I was on the smaller dose for about 2 weeks, and then I started to increase my dosage. That's when I realized that my body wasn't agreeing with the medication. I was getting a lot of the side effects, and I can't remember exactly the side effects that you get. The big ones for me were nausea, vomiting, not getting enough sleep, and overall it just didn't work for me. So I went back to my doctor and told him what was happening when I was on this medication, and I ended up being off of it for a couple of weeks, which made me vulnerable because without the medication, I can have a relapse at any point. Thankfully, I don't think I had any, but I definitely did feel some of the pains and, the tiredness and everything like that. So I ended up going back on Tecfidera again to try it one more time, and I did the same exact thing. I started with a lower dose and then moved to a higher one. But this time, I didn't get to the higher dose. I ended up staying on the lower one, and I ended up getting very, very sick. It was around midnight, and I was in my college dorm with 4 other girls, which didn't help the situation. And I immediately ran to the bathroom because I was just puking my brains out. And I mean, I was puking like every 5 minutes. And at that point, I had nothing left in my stomach where I was just puking up the vial, which is really gross. Anyways, I called my mom at like 3 a.m. and said I need to come home. So at that point, I stopped medication completely, and I was off of it for a good month. I later went back to NYU, and we started talking about some other treatments that were out there. One of them that I found out about was an infusion, which I didn't know they had, and I immediately jumped on board because with an infusion, the one that I take, which I'll get into, I only have to take it twice a year, so it saves me from having to take pills all the time, and I was taking a lot of pills at the time. So the new medication is called Ocrevus, or Ocrevus. A lot of people pronounce it in different ways. I got my first infusion, and they had split it up into 2 because I was new to the treatment and they wanted to see how it would react. I thankfully reacted really well to it, and I've been on it ever since. And the only downfall that I've realized with the Ocrevus is that for me personally, it wears off after 4 months rather than the 6 months that's supposed to hold out for. Each medication is different for everybody. I know there's pills, there's infusions, and I believe there's also injections. I just went the route that was more successful and better off for me because I prefer having an infusion rather than taking a bunch of pills every day. So I hope you enjoyed my first part of my story, and I hope you tune back to see more of how I can help you and share my experience with having MS. Bye, everybody. And remember, be you, be strong, and be resilient.